My name is Rowdy Gaines, and I swam in the 1984 Olympic Games, where I won 3 gold medals in the sport of swimming. Also a proud member of the 1980 Olympic team as well.
Rowdy, what are some of the things you've been doing lately? We want to catch up with you.
You know, it's funny, my wife and I were just talking about that this morning, about 30 years, and could I imagine my life where it is now 30 years later? Well, we're lucky enough to have 4 daughters and 2 granddaughters. I'm the Vice President of Aquatics now for the YMCA of Central Florida, which we overlook 30 different pools, so I'm still in the sport, which is great. I love being involved in the sport. I do all the television commentating now for swimming. I'll be doing my 7th Olympic Games in Rio, which is really cool. I still work with USA Swimming and the USA Swimming Foundation, so my connection to swimming and the Olympic movement will never end, I hope.
Rowdy, I want to talk about your competitive swimming career that is still going. You know, people talk about, when is Michael Phelps going to retire? The guy's got to retire. But here you are, still in the pool. What is about the sport that brings its athletes back, that keeps its athletes in the pool?
Well, for me, I think my involvement with swimming is one in which I didn't start swimming until I was 17. I was a junior in high school when I started. I was 11th grade. So I started so late. I never had that burnout that a lot of athletes have early on in their career. And for me, having made the team in 1980 and not having gone to the Olympic Games and to be able to kind of hang on in 1984 gave me an appreciation, I think, for the dedication and commitment that you need to have to be able to go to the Olympic Games, but it also gave me that level of perspective and appreciation for my sport. And I just love swimming. I mean, people ask me all the time, what's the number one thing that helped you win a gold medal? If you could pinpoint one thing, and I tell them every single time, it's passion. It's because I loved it. Was I perfect? Absolutely not. There were many times I didn't like swimming, don't get me wrong. But I think the consistent passion that I had for the sport day in and day out has carried through all the way 30 years later. That's why I still love swimming, and I swim every day. Plus, I stink at everything else.
Rowdy, what are your ambitions for the sport in this country?
We have been the #1 swimming country since 1956. That's pretty amazing if you think about it. That's almost 60 years that our country has been #1 in the world for 60 straight years. So obviously that strength and that power and that pride in being #1, that's what I want us to continue as. I want us to continue as the #1 sport. But my feelings go a lot deeper. I want kids to learn how to swim. Drowning is an epidemic in our country. It's the 2nd leading cause of accidental death in children. So I want every child to learn how to swim. And the great thing is we found the cure is swim lessons. You know, and swimming should be a lifelong skill. It should be something you should enjoy forever and ever. So that's part of what I really want. But the method to the madness is the fact that we will have great swimming going forward, and that means we'll have more minorities in the sport. 70% of African Americans don't know how to swim. I would love that to change. Many Hispanics don't know how to swim, 60%. So I think our sport needs to evolve more and more. We're doing a good job. We're doing better than we did when I swam, but I want to continue that way to be able to get more people involved in swimming, because in the long run it will help us. It'll help us be better.
And Rowdy, being here in LA on this 30th anniversary, what is this like for you?
It is an incredible feeling. My wife and I came out a few days ago, and to be able to kind of soak up this atmosphere over the last 3 or 4 days. I know today is technically 30 years to the opening ceremonies, but just to touch ground every time I come to LA, I have this warm feeling, obviously. But to come here just recently in the last couple of days, and today especially, it's an incredible feeling because it was an incredible moment in my life. It was something that I'll remember forever. The relationships I built here and the friendships and the people I got to know are my friends to this day, 30 years later. And it's a pretty special city. It was a pretty special Olympics, and one that our country was starving for. It had been 8 years since an Olympic Games. And I think our country was really starving for one. I should say 8 years until we competed in an Olympic Games. So for me, this city will always be one that feels very, very. It will fill my heart with love every time I come here.